everybody, and welcome to yet another episode of Expressed Opinion. I am your girl, Lynn Roberts.
I'm that girl, DC.
And I'm your boy, T-Roy. Big C.
Big C's! And today I am very excited because we have our very first special guest with us today. We have Dr. Jamal Therese. Say hello!
What's up, Jamal?
We're in the house. That's right. With the fam.
Hey, you say you with the fam, yo. What's up? What's going on? How you been?
We make it doing good. Don't need to complain.
Okay. How was your week so far?
The week's been good. It's a cool week. You know, I was on Hilton Head. Had to do that earlier. They had to go to West Savannah, then I had to come to Georgetown. I might not need to be putting their business out there. That's what they in Georgetown.
Oh, really?
Really?
Hey, he put us out there. Hey.
Well, just tell everybody.
We in where we at.
You give them the address?
No, don't do that. Don't do that.
Well, see, you can't invite everybody.
Right.
You can't invite everybody.
Give them the secret location.
Okay.
But that's good. It's good to have you, man.
Yeah, glad to be here.
I am so glad that you're with us today because, as you know, I have been trying to get this. I wanted to talk about this subject for a while.
Yes, ma'am.
And
Yes,
I really wanted to have you on the show to address this subject.
Okay.
So today, y'all, we are talking about critical race theory, CRT, and what is the issue? What's the problem? You know, why are we having such an issue with teaching real history in school? Why are we trying to whitewash our history?
So that's a part of, and I'm glad you said it like that. That's how folks. Most of us don't know history. We know mythology. We don't know American history. We know American mythology, and we spit it out. Or if it's Savannah mythology, if it is Georgia mythology, that's what we spit out. And what that does, it helps people to be empowered. See, because again, they want to let other people understand their greatness. And see, as long as I have you caught up into thinking that you've not achieved anything, guess what? That becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. You think you're not achieved. You don't know anything. You don't know about who you are. You don't understand your contribution. So then you're like a leaf in the wind. Wherever the wind blows, that's where you go. As opposed to being a sacred tree. When you're a tree, you're rooted in the soil. So when the wind, even if a hurricane comes, you know, many of the trees still stand.
Right.
The limbs may go, even the limbs may come off, but yes, it's still rooted in the soil. So people bank on us not knowing who we are. And when I bank on you not knowing who you are, then I can shape you into becoming a creature that's not you.
Okay. So let me ask you this. What was the origin of critical race theory, and why was it where they wanted to start teaching it in the schools?
In actuality, what some people are going to discuss, critical race theory, that was a concept that was in law school.
Oh, that was something in
Law school.
Oh, really? Okay.
Not with regards to, say, in elementary or secondary school.
Right.
It was about law schools. It was not about colleges. It was about law schools solely. And that's all it's really been about. But what happened? It's a political football. Or I should have some folks, let's say, political football, soccer ball, baseball, basketball. So some people realize they can try to capitalize off of it because, again, it goes right back to the point of when you don't know information, I can manipulate you. Okay. And so then I can use this because what some people have said, you know, just put it out there, that it's a certain element in our society, a certain political party in our society that they promote it because it's a way for them, because some people got fear. They have a fear of the truth. And that's what it is. And so history is about giving the truth. But if I give you the mythology, that shatters some of what your mama taught you, your daddy taught you, what your church taught you. So what their thing is, now they're going to play off of that fear. They're going to feed into that fear. So they not take something that's coming out of law school and say, oh, they want to teach critical race theory. They want to go and make our people look bad. Check this out.
Okay.
I stopped using some language, but I stopped myself. I don't want y'all to try to see.
Hey, look.
If your behind was doing wrong, then you gotta be called out about it. And that's with regard to the history. If you've been doing wrong, if you have been causing pain to people, you don't want to be called out about it. So you want to tell me, say you have abused me as a child, and I can't say anything about that. I'm just to talk about how you've been a wonderful parent. And that's also to talk about. But instead, I got some pain and I got some anguish that I live with, and I deal with that every day. So with regard to this element right here, because they have a fear about the truth coming out, they got to try to squash it. But then some people understand, I'm saying some politicians, political parties have not understood. They can use it to manipulate all of us. And guess what? They run with it. And that's why I said we got to have sensible people not stand up and say, wait a minute, this is all false. We got to use our media, just like right now, what you're doing, this podcast right here. It's not to put a message out there, planting a seed, and some folks say, stop. Because I tell folks, in fact, I'll throw it out there. I tell folks, people know critical race theory. That's all that is, it's history.
Yeah.
I just know, I ain't right, it's history. I said, I don't need to come to know highfalutin intellectual stuff to say, oh, critical race theory. Ain't no theory, it's the history.
And that's the part I was looking at, is the theory part. So teaching it in a regular school for me seems to be a little heavy-handed. Now, just teaching history to the kids of what happened in American history, this whole African experience, the whole American history thought. But in critical race theory, in the law school, we're looking at not only, well, when Bell came out with it, he was looking at how embedded racism still is in our legal, social, and other systems. The level of in education for that, I think, is a little far gone for our youth to be delving into as an everyday lesson. Because I would argue that some of our teachers don't have the credential to even begin to even start teaching things on a theoretical level to them. That can become confusing. So we can go into history, critical race theory, looking at how Bell set up and what he was trying to do with that. I thought it should have been left at a higher level education to be something to tackle. Now it shouldn't be taught on a lower level. Higher level, yes.
So my question is, why do you think, well, I guess you did, they are wanting to implement this into the school system or make it, is it because they just want to erase completely, hey, we only want to teach this part of history? Because critical race theory, listening to you, it is something that is far beyond as far as education. You need to be, at another level of education. So why are they trying to implement it into, make it sound like our elementary schools, our middle schools, our high schools don't need to be exposed to this? Are they trying to pull the root of Black history completely out of the school and they're using that to blanket?
I'm going to say it to you just like that. You hitting it on the head. That, again, and I tell folks, we shouldn't even be having a conversation about that. There were no school systems were not even engaging in that. It was all false. It was all bullcrap. It was that, and what now is when it comes down to the fact that they have used this as a way to get a political football for them now to get monies. They call it this fear. So conservatives, I'm just going to put out, because of conservatives, they also, they have no problem punishing people about how they have not achieved. They talk about this. But when you not put them on the spot and saying that, well, okay, you want to talk about how we've not achieved, what have you done that stop us from achieving? They don't want the truth to come out about that. So then the conservatives say, stop. No, we don't want anybody. We don't want y'all to know about how y'all did Ruby Bridges. It's something the same thing. Ruby Bridges, 6 years old, trying to go to school, and they taunting a 6-year-old girl, African-American girl. So then that's a part of the history right there. So they want to stop it. Then they're going to throw a label and say critical race theory, that people start saying, oh, that's what it's about. No, it's not. Right. This is a way to basically wipe out and stop people from teaching the fullness of the story. And I tell people this, when you only know American history, when you know something about everybody's story.
Right.
You know about Native Americans, Latinos, Asians, Africans. You know something about everybody's story. And you know the good and the not so good. This route right here, it's not even real. It wasn't school system not even focusing on that.
Well, actually, in the school system, there is a guide that says, listen, you can teach this, but you can only say certain words.
Right.
You can't say that Indians were slaughtered. You can't say it was a massacre. You have to say that, hey, there was, the Indians came, they made peace, and they learned to live together, and that's not what happened. It was a massacre, it was a slaughter. They overtook a culture, and that's how it happened. But you can't say that. And it tells you cannot say that.
And there's always been about censorship. They've always censored history.
Right.
They've censored. And I tell folks, now, we say critical race theory, we can go about, like I said, we get all intellectual and stuff like that. But guess what? Critical race theory, the manipulation of history goes back even over 100 years ago. And I'm going to call it out. Daughters of the Confederacy. Daughters of the Confederacy helped to change history also. Right. They started saying that the lost cause and all this other stuff like that, that's when we see in the early 1900s that, again, they're not changing the view of history. Mm-hmm. So, and this is just the latest trend in that. That's all this is. I tell my people, I said, when you understand the genesis of something, you understand how it evolved. Mm-hmm. And all this is right now, it's the evolution of from what the Daughters of the Confederacy did back in the late 1800s, early 1900s, bring about again the noble, the war of aggression. That the South lost the war. I tell folks, I said, guess what? The South won the war. Then they look at me like, what? I said, the South won the war. I said, there were millions of people in the South who still supported the Union, who were down with the Union. So guess what? In Savannah, Georgia, for instance, when Sherman comes through Savannah, Georgia, again, if you listen to other people, it was a terrible thing. When Sherman came to Savannah, Georgia, folks on Broughton Street opened up their doors and were dancing on Broughton Street. Oh my God. Nobody talks about that. Because again, they wiped that part of the story out. And I said, guess what? They were a part of people who understood the importance of still being a part of the Union. And I don't care about what your grandmama talked about, the lies that she told that now got infused in schools. Then you have other people going right say that black folks were happy to be on plantations. Absolutely incorrect. And they do that also 1900s. So what we're looking at school systems that have been teaching stuff, how they've been changing it for at least 100 years now. And all of this is just evolution. So now critical race theory is the new thing. That's the fattest thing. And guess what? And when y'all didn't die, this is what's going to happen. Then somebody else will come with something else. So yeah.
I feel like they threw the critical race theory thing out there as a bit of a confusion bit to switch you over to another paradigm of thought because nobody's going to delve into what really is this theory about. Instead of saying, no, you guys are not teaching history in school. Let's start there. History hasn't been taught yet and correctly. Before we can even get into, because what critical race theory is going to delve into is, all this happened, but let me show you how it never disappeared. And theoretically, how it's hidden. So now I got to get you to get into the mind of this theoretical paradigm that first you didn't even understand how your history started. Get your history first. And now I'm going to show you how I can hide the same things that I did back then. Now
you're doing them now.
And all of your major social structures, churches, and government, housing, all these other things, how the racism is still hidden in there. But if you jump to, I think if you jump to this, you're you're putting the cart before the horse. You're negating something. You need to first let me know how this history happened. But guess what? The trick is, just like the Professor said, what are they going to find out? This history is so close to you, you're going to see all your family and friends sitting right there when those things were happening. It wasn't that far away. So when you're thinking that you've come past all of it, you haven't. And that's what critical race theory addresses. You have not come past this. It's still in our legal system. And I think that's where it was why it was brought into the legal system.
So basically they're putting it in your face.
And you still wouldn't see it for what it is. Like, how is there racism inherently built into the laws and different social structures that are out there? How is it there? Well, I don't know, because you don't know your history. You don't know the history of how they started this. The history of how schools were segregated or desegregated, why they happened, how it happened, like the professor said, and what they did. You think these people are dead? They're not. They're quite alive. They're still there training and teaching their children.
Wow.
So when we're talking about critical race theory, are we just talking about our race and ancestors, or are we talking about all races and ancestors? Because we're talking about like the Jews who was overtaken by the Nazis.
I'm sorry, did they build America?
Oh, yeah.
Did they build America? What fight dog do they have in this fight?
I mean, I'm just
The Holocaust is
The
taught.
Holocaust, we're paying reparations to that.
Yeah. They teach the Holocaust.
okay.
They'll teach the
Now, please say in America, and I'm sure you'll probably get some hits for this on this show, say there was a black Holocaust. And watch where that goes.
Well, but of course, and anyone who argues against that, that's our check this out. Then you're ignorant.
Right.
You're ignorant. You're trying because that's what the name is. Something called African Holocaust, and that's what this country doesn't want to address this. And what you're asking that it is pertaining in particular how there's been a group of people who've been subjected to something that the world has never seen before. And so now you have the children of these people and people who also played a role in this right here who don't want to address it. They're like, you're going to try to tell me that I cannot talk about this. You say you want to have healing in this nation. You never have healing in this nation until you are honest about it. That's why, for me, I tell folks, don't even talk about the critical race theory. That ain't what about. I'm like, it's just by history. I ain't even going on that. I'm talking about the history. That people who, you see photographs of people who have been lynched. You see children right there. Some of them now are grandparents and great-grandparents. Some of them participate and have seen this stuff and know this stuff right here. And so now they want me not to talk about it. They don't want me to say anything about it. But for other people, we can talk about their pain.
Never forget the Holocaust. Yeah,
That's
never
right.
forget the Holocaust. But then when it comes to something dealing with black history is, well, we need to move on from that.
Right. And then, and what is so insane, you have black people
doing the same thing.
There's a video that I'm going to be doing, which would have been talked doing earlier. They say that any black leader, any black politician, any black minister, any black neighborhood association president, they tell me to get over it. I'm like, check this out. Sojourner Truth said this right here. Sojourner Truth had yourself saying, am I not a woman? They like to talk about that. She said that this country must pay reparations. People don't realize that Sojourner Truth said that reparations need to be paid to black folks. So she was letting folks know, we cannot get over this. We need to get some stuff. We need some equity right now. She said this in the 1800s. So if she said she can't get over it, and other people can't get over it, we should not even say that right now. But see, those who are ignorant and they are put in positions, I'll tell folks, check this out. Positions and titles mean nothing at all. It means nothing. I don't even sweat that type of stuff. But it's about, when it comes down to what is the work that you're doing to help the least and the left out. So even when it comes down to with regard to when people don't want to talk about some of this right here, they're not trying to look out for the least and the left out and the ones who've been hurt the hardest, but the ones who helped shape this country right here. You look at black folks here, it is your ancestors that made the wealth in this country right here. Not just this country, the entire world. When you look at Europe, it is tied to black folks right here. Just to throw another little thing out there to show you that. In Liverpool, London, they had more Confederate flags in one of the squares there in Liverpool, London during the Civil War than U.S. flags. You know why that was? Because of the cotton that was right here in Savannah. So here go England understand that they're making money off of this right here. Right. So they want the Confederates to understand y'all got the cotton. So we cool with y'all. So but you don't want me to talk about this type of stuff right here. See, that's history right there.
No,
somebody else
got something for them.
That's right.
In this era, what makes it more dangerous is the advent
of the cell phone.
And social media. Things get out so quickly.
Yeah.
Let real American history get taught, and what are these kids going to do? It'll be Tiananmen Square again. It'll be daggone Egypt when they did that whole thing to the left.
Actually, I tell them, no, what happened? Well, this is why I do my classes, I'm sure when I was at Savannah State, since now I'm at Georgia Southern. But then I still give this to them there. There's a proverb that goes, the hunter will always be the hero of the story until the lion has a historian.
Right.
And I had one brother in the class, when I put it on the board, he said, that's us. I said, that's right. I said, because when you start writing the story, you begin to explain your side of the story. You'll be like, wait a minute. And so what would happen when people get this information, because I'm saying this, when Caucasians get this information right here, they start to think, they're like, wait a minute. They're like, wait a minute. So we have benefited from this. So it doesn't even upset people. It doesn't upset the sincere person, the good person. They start saying, we got to do something about We got to do something. We got to right this wrong right here.
Mm-hmm.
But here you got another element right here. Like I said, they
Exactly.
profit off of ignorance
Right.
and manipulating people because they want to maintain power for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
They understand that the have-nots now come together, they get talking to one another, and they begin to see who's causing them not to have, or seeing that how the haves have gotten this off of the backs of other people. They're gonna see you got right and wrong. But because of some, and I'm gonna say the American psyche for many of us, the oppressor psyche, the victimizer psyche is that no, I could never let the victimize of oppressed people come and get what I have. Because I want it all be about me.
And
so
think of the ability for
information
Boy,
helps you.
Think of the ability for them to handle that. The weight of what would come down when you start telling these children, not black children, white children, they're getting this information. The weight of that coming down on them, of never having this information before, it's going to be almost going through the same emotions that you go through in death. It's going to be that denial. It's going to be that rebuild. It's going to be that, oh my God, did this really happen? Did my great granddaddy really do that? Is that him sitting in that picture?
But
And how do we do that mentally? The mental frustration.
But if I am the oppressor, when that is given to that child, is given, hey, you got to protect this, because if you don't, this is what's going to happen. So if you, if theoretically what you're saying is that, kids are being exposed and this, me, if I want to protect what I have and what I've known to be heritage, I got to tell the portion of mine to be persuaded. Do you understand? So if I'm Caucasian and I have a Caucasian child, listen, we did this, but if you
want to keep
add
what you
back, then
you want to keep what we
that's
have.
what you have to do.
Yeah.
But do you think that child would go there? Not with the way the world is moving. The empathy, unless you have
Empathy
truly,
is down in
unless
the
you
hole
truly
with
taught
you.
your child to be
Sympathy
racist,
is looking in the hole.
to be racist from that age, they're going to see something totally wrong with that.
A child is a product. That's their environment.
And
Empathy
if that's
is
what they're taught,
understanding me in that hole with me. Sympathy is looking in the hole, saying, "Oh, I feel bad for you." So is that child gonna have sympathy? Because they can't get in the hole. They can't get in the hole. They can't begin to understand. So if I'm gonna protect what I have, I might be exposed to it, but at the same time, I could lose it. What's gonna be chosen? This is history, and history just.
But you also, but even in telling that, you're also empowering those who have been the victims to now rise up. Because the whole time we've been lied to, telling that you're less than, telling you that your own people sold you, never happened. Telling those people are going to rise up too. It's going to be a shift in power.
Okay, well, I took it as when you were saying that, other races will get the information and they will start to be like, hey, we got to right this wrong.
But then
I don't know if that will happen. It will have to come from us. We will have to be the one, like you say, to rise up, because they're going out. I think that's just human nature. If you have something, your job is to protect it. So if this is what your history is for another race, you protect it. The problem is we don't know our history, so it's hard for us to protect it.
You can't protect something that somebody can come with money and buy.
Or have fed us generations through generations.
We can't protect nothing if somebody can come through, like SCAD, for example. This is just an example. We have a lot of black owners on Montgomery Street. Okay?
Bull Street, look at
Bull Street, all that.
Just
and SCAD just came with a check. Yeah.
Wipe them out.
And it's sold. So how can people like us protect something like that from happening? We don't know who SCAD is. We don't know whether SCAD is black or white. I've never seen whoever that is writing a check.
She white.
But I'm saying, but if somebody can come with a check and say, yeah, hey, is that good enough? I want this.
That's another show right there.
Right now with a check.
I mean, we can stand here and we can say, where we come from and all of this other thing that we're talking about.
It's basically we're not putting any value on what we have.
No.
So people they're looking at, oh, I can get this for this, but you're not looking at, okay, if I hold on to this and I try to make it grow and I work with this person over here. Or say, for instance, I get you, like I got this right here, you got that right there. If we put what we have together and we can sit up here and we can build on that, and then we can let it grow, and then we can pass it on to our generation, to our kids, and then let them take it to the next level, and then start slowly but surely leveling the playing field.
And then we have
So my question is, we know where we're at. We know where we're at. What do we need to do to start? Like, because you have to go. Do you go top down or do you go bottom up?
Well, I wanted to throw 3 pointers out, and I'm telling that too. You are correct that there'll be some people who are going to say, you must protect us right here. You got to protect us. And I'm going to give some examples with regards to, yes, you got the group that say you got to protect us, and they're going to protect that. Got an example, share this information in my classes. There's one Caucasian young lady, she will hear the information. Guess what she does? She goes back to her father. So she begins sharing the information with her father. Her father's like, wait a minute, now he's hearing that black African people did this, black people did this right here. People been involved with NASA and all this right here, and he's not liking it.
Right.
So he goes talk to a state representative here in Chatham County, and he's not happy about it, and he's telling him about it. And so then he was like, he goes to talk to the president, former president Savannah, and then tell President Savannah, listen, you got somebody that's saying this is this. And so the president's like, oh, I know who that is. That's Teray. That's Jamal. But guess what? The young lady, she's loving it. Because what I tell them in the class like this, I say, because some of this is going to go against the values that you have heard from your parents, what you got in the churches. See, when you begin to tell people that, and so when they start hearing it, it's like, yeah, they had told me this. So for them, it's not revelation. So now what happened for them, they're like, make them like saying, okay, because they're not looking at the world. Because again, they're like, okay, and what's going on? My father's trying to tell me that I need to be about this right here. But she's not saying, nah, your way ain't right. But you still got the other. Now, my brother might go along with you on that, but I know it's not right. And that's one of the seeds that's not been planted to help bring about change. So I tell them, I say, well, I'll give you the information. Guess what you should do? You should go back to your churches, to your homes, to your friends, to your neighbors. You should not tell them, say, no, black people, such and so and so. They become part of that advocacy. So that's one group that I said, we put it out there to them. Have this other group, because some people know, we do tours in the city. So I have this family with me. If you look at them, you say, them some straight up rednecks right there, and they down with the Confederacy. That's the mind. They down with the stars and the bars, and they could be down with all that. But they came right here, and they started saying, the father said, I said, so why y'all want to do this right here, do this journey with us? And the father said, I got tired of hearing about white people and their furniture. So here goes this man, he was like saying, they are covering all this stuff up, they whitewashing everything. He said, I know black people been here. I know captivity's been right here. He said, but they're not saying anything. So that's why now he was like, and then I said, but if you look at them on the surface, they not realize like, this stuff is false. I need to hear this other side because there's another side to it. So then so I'm looking at that. So you got those people right there like that. Then have somebody else, she's married to a family that got money. They're movers and shakers in this area, movers and shakers. So she comes in and she's like, y'all money came from these people right here. She's like, nah, this ain't right. So we still like, yes, I like the opulence that I have. And I'm looking at how these people, like, nah. She said, I gotta go reach out to folks and I gotta not engage in conversation. So that's what they now begin having conversation. They're like saying, we gotta go back into our family and say, we gotta correct this right here. we had to do something to help them and bring about that parity. And I tell them, that's what it's about. You got when answering the question that it don't matter if it's top down or top up. Do something. I said, if you do something, something will occur. You do nothing, nothing will happen.
Right.
So whatever arena, area that you in, you plant them seeds. And I had one young lady, she said she worked like in a restaurant. And she said, she talking, Caucasian young lady. She said, I'm telling them in the restaurant, do y'all know black people did this? Do y'all know this right here? And she said, could you know? She said, it's like, they don't believe in themselves. I said, right, because they're going to an educational system that had not made them feel good about themselves. But guess what now happened when you now start talking about it? They're like, no. That white girl over there, she like history like that. That can hit some of them things. I might need to go try to find some of this out. But we got to at least go and do it. Because again, they're that group of people are saying, don't y'all go and get it. Because again, they're trying to protect. And guess what I said? We now plant the seeds to not create this other group of them that go out there. And then we got to know it ourselves also. Because even with us, because they're not beat me down so bad that I don't even like myself. Because I don't like myself, guess what? I don't like you.
Exactly.
I don't like you. I don't like you. I don't trust you. But if you tell me something, I can't believe you because you ain't nothing. I ain't nothing. So, and that's why I said we gotta combat all of that, and then we come together, we can stop it. But that other group right there, they're gonna fight like hell. Yeah, they're gonna fight like hell because it's like, gee, that girl G messing up, right? G trying to shake our foundation, and so I'm gonna talk about how D went and took my daddy records and just sold my daddy records and stuff like that. And so then what's gonna happen? Other people gonna be like, see how much she did, see what she they're gonna try to plant the seed of mischief and misinformation. But then you still gonna put that truth out there. And then that truth start getting planted, and now that truth start to rise faster.
I had the same weird experience, one of my white students, but her experience was a little different. She had the idea that there were white people that was here helping you along the way the whole time. And I couldn't fight to tell, and basically telling me that you have no idea what you're talking about. Wow. I'm just here for show. I have no idea what I'm talking about. But she fought tooth and nail. And at every juncture when I'm showing her same information is flawed, it's like that cognitive dissonance steps in, like, nope, can't be right, can't be true. Because I guess she wants to soothe herself.
Right, that's right, yes.
From that burden. She wanted to soothe herself from that burden. No, there's no way we could have done it. Somebody was out there helping you, and it was probably my family. Probably not.
But see, that's another thing. It's like they want to be the great white savior.
Goodness.
The great white hope.
In every situation, it's like they come and they got the cape on, and they're coming to save the day, the situation. They're going to pick you up and take you out of this situation. If it wasn't for them, you wouldn't be this.
But it always comes with an inch of destruction, and it starts with your culture. They walk in with the Hawaiians, anywhere they went. I'm not going to pick anywhere they went. You come in with some sort of weaponry and religion. Let's drop those two in your lap, and then we redo your idea of what your culture is, and reteach it to you of this is the way it needs to be or supposed to be. So that's how they're gonna, and then they're going to take away, they're going to say everything you were doing wrong is savagery. So we are here to save, that's their thought. We are here to save you. So now they can't come back now and want to rewrite history and tell you
that actually we were saving y'all asses.
Thank you. Can't happen.
I'm just saying.
Can't happen.
So
now I got to say I'm wrong.
Actually,
in front of the world.
Actually, we basically showed you how to wash your
right.
How
to eat, how to survive.
Yeah. So, and then you want to come back and whitewash all of that.
Absolutely.
And even today, that was back in even today with all of the inventions that black people have come up with, like in the last 15, 20 years or so.
Their entire theory of government is based on us. When they say, oh, look at this experiment that we created. Right? We the people. Sorry. Really go back and go back into history and go, where did that come from? Where did all those supposed great minds learn from? They stole it from blacks, but it didn't. You can't give them credit for it.
Because they hit us hard. Even if you look at cartoons. You look at a cartoon.
Oh.
Look at a cartoon, and you got a dog on it, and the dog has a British accent. Like, why does dog can't have an accent like me? Like, you know, or you might say a black accent, but he got a British accent. Martians come, aliens come out of space. They got accents like a European accent. Like, wait a minute. So, like, but that's what it is. They hit us so hard with this stuff, and so what it causes us to be disconnected in that thing, thinking that we are so far removed from what is the norm, and think that our stuff is abnormal.
Right.
But then what they're going to do, and they do appropriate it.
They create the boondocks first.
You know, they appropriate the stuff. And then,
we ain't even gonna go into that. How much appropriation goes on.
And then turn around and give it back to us. And then some of us, we so naive because we so disconnected. We don't realize that comes from you. Tell me, Savannah red rice? That's jollof rice. That's Jamaican. That's African. Wait a minute. How many y'all? That's African right there. You want to tell me that? Charleston red rice? Like that's African. You know, jambalaya. That's African. Spanish red rice. That's African. Don't you? So I'll tell people, I tell you, you can't walk up to me on that foolishness like that. I said, Jamal don't pimps like that. You know, I use another word with it too, by the case, because I'm on y'all show.
It's okay. It's called express opinion. You can express your opinion. Feel free.
They coming at me like what? You know, like seafood. I'm like, we've been doing seafood. Get out of here.
Listen, I'm gonna say we've been doing this shit a long time.
So I'm gonna stop because I know people say Jamal ain't every guy. I'm gonna say this right here. Something crazy. You know, like those of us, you know, from here, you know, we know about fish roll. Fish roll. You know, fish roll.
Yep.
You know, we fry fish roll. We fried on up. But guess what they call it? Caviar.
Don't talk about caviar.
But on your act like we don't know what I was like, no, that's fish roll right there. And we fry it.
Yes, y'all eat it raw, but we fry it. Exactly.
And if you go to Italy, guess what? They sell fish roll right there. And they understand and will do it similar. That's why I'm like saying, so get out of here with this. So y'all running hitting us with stuff right here. Nah, see, I know what time it is. You think that I don't know what time it is. You don't know what time it is. But again, like take the stuff, give it back to you, and then some of us, we like, you're pretty savior. Oh yeah.
And sometimes you gotta stop giving it away. Something that drives me crazy is like that one thing. The Greek culture. They miss the fact that those steps and rhythms and beats and things they're doing are steeped in an African culture. There's a reason for that call and response. And the things that they're doing. And then all of a sudden we get Sprite come out with a step show and there's white people in step show and we cheer them on.
I don't know.
As though you did something great. No, stop reappropriating my culture to me. Stop refeeding me. The same like you said, refried beans. You just take it, turn around and sell it right back to me, and we buy it.
Yep.
That's the part. We buy it. And people don't understand our large amount, that $1 trillion that we have in our pocket, that's every dollar is a vote. Every dollar is a vote. Stop voting the wrong way.
Because I've often wondered, what would happen if black folks didn't vote at all? Everybody be like, man, I'm home chilling. We'll have a no vote party. Everybody have a no vote party at home and see how everything falls
Well,
into
people
that.
have politics.
You got some black people acting like they're the other culture.
Yeah.
Being on the politics and policy
they
side, it could turn dangerous.
So
Because now we're letting everybody else affect your future.
Yeah, true.
You know?
The insane one.
Right. The Trumpers make your future.
Wait. I know you just didn't say that. I believe in and I support Make America Great. I believe I support that. Donald Trump is the greatest president of all time.
We got something. I'm like, You just gotta know that they're serious.
You joke on him. Joke on him.
No,
He didn't
I was
mean that.
looking like,
The whole time I'm drinking, I'm like, please let this go down.
no, you looking at this is my bitch, man.
But no sound.
I was done. I'm like,
My heart started pounding. Oh my God, this is happening.
They told me I could act up. That's what they told me.
Holy crap.
he looked at me, my face was like,
My whole brain froze for a minute. I'm like, what do you say right
he played
now?
some nice question. MVP stuff.
Lord have mercy.
I was like,
Oh my God. That was a good one, bro.
no, that was not a good one.
You love me for stop. That was not okay. None of that was okay.
My dad sit back on
See,
204.
you and I was about to
We
go.
was like,
We was about to go 95.
Yeah, we were on 95. We about to take
I'm like, let him finish, but this is not going to end well.
Alright?
Oh, Lord.
He did with such a straight face. And I'm
Right. I'm sitting like, oh my God.
is he serious?
But I already knew because I'm like,
I did.
I didn't either. Like, what has happened? What has happened?
Lord have mercy. Oh my God, that was a good one. That was a good one. But yeah, since we done left the stadium, can we fall back in?
Oh, okay, yes,
Can we get back in? And can we go back to the playbook? Because I don't even know where we was.
Right. I forgot what I was even thinking at that moment.
Well, now here, so we know that I believe that's the governor of Texas. We said it earlier. Okay, so what he's trying to do, and if I'm not mistaken, Georgia's getting in line with it. Whatever he has going on over there. What would
And
you
Florida.
say? What would you say now to
Combat that.
combat that for those listening?
Ooh, okay.
You need a fan so you can start.
What would you? Because for one, I'm gonna be honest with you, very few people understand critical race theory, and when you hear it, you automatically think, "Oh, they're trying to suppress teaching Black history in school," and that's what is dropped in that. So, hopefully that right now they're getting a greater insight on the actual what critical race theory actually is. But how do you now combat and say, "Hey, this is what it really is. This is," and get that really get it out there. This is a platform, but
I think what they need to do, first of all, is stop calling it critical race theory.
Thank you. That's where I was going with that.
They need to
That
stop
was
calling
where I
it
was going with that whole
because it's
argument.
not a theory. Number one, it's not a theory. These are facts.
That's where I was trying to go with that. The whole
And it should be history.
Thank
American history. It shouldn't be Black history or any. This is what happened. Point blank, period. I don't care if you was Black, white, Puerto Rican, everybody, just a freaking whatever it was. This is what happened.
But here's where I would go with the question. Take the they out. They are not responsible for the education of your children.
True.
So there should be some amount of homeschooling. Stop allowing the school to be the end of education.
And
They're
you know
going to fail
what?
your kids.
You got a lot of young people now that are becoming more aware of their history. And I've seen a lot of it. Like I saw this one young man on he has a TikTok where he's talking about all of the history of the Black man, the Black woman, even before slavery, what we were before then.
But I'm trying to get on the ugliness of it. People don't talk about things like Devil's Punch Bowl.
Yes.
And the true grit of what was really, because we have the advent of technology and TV. What drives me mad is to watch any slave movie and they have clothes on. You have clothes on? Slaves didn't wear clothes. Your bottom half wasn't even covered. Because you know what a lot of them said? Do you put pants on a horse? So why are you putting pants on him? He's the same as my horse.
Wow.
Depending on the age and situations like that, but folks they have clothes. In fact, now just folks did not just take care of their needs. So that's why some of them got their hustle on, and that's again part of the story people don't talk about. Africans, even who held in captivity, some of them still got their hustle on, even with regards to them being held in captivity, because again they're still trying to get some money to take care of it. They need to get some brogans, they need to get some shoes. They gotta go and do that. And so, but just to go through that, again, we have to be the ones to play a role in this. Play a role with regards to telling our history to our children, to our family members, that we speak about it, even away from a school, a classroom setting, but then also now go to your school boards also. And that's when we talk about the voting. That's a part of the component right there. Going to school board means to let it be known. And that's why I was like, when first I was like, there's across the entire country, that these conservatives, they have like a website where they can go to, and they create these narratives that they give you the template. They now go to your own school board and do the same thing. Even they ain't applicable to your school board. That's how intense they are about that. That's why I said we got to be that intense also.
Exactly.
Just like to go and say, hey, listen, to the school board meeting and say, listen.
We got to have that same vigor and energy.
That's right. Because they do it. And some of them, I'm going to say someone who in Chatham County are crazy as hell. But they are going to the school board meetings, or they sending stuff to the school board representative. Craziness. And you think like, no, not in Chatham County. But what it is, they go, because they got this repository for them, they're going to do stuff like that. And that's how and that's why, again, how critical race theory, all that comes about, because they're like, okay, what's the thing that we can now get to unify fearful Caucasians and evangelical Christians, and get lower income people who don't have any understanding, who will vote against their own interests. What can we do to rally them around this? They said, this is right here. This is become the unity cry for them. They're not even understanding. It hurts all of them.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would say even challenge that school board. That I wouldn't go to. I would be trying to take it over. Like, fight your way in. That vote and everything else. You should be trying to. If you see that what you're doing is moving, then take that seat. Try to challenge that seat.
That's the part.
Challenge those areas.
Yeah, that's right. Tom said, hey.
So you all have a plethora of knowledge. Where would you tell people to access this knowledge? I get it. We have the internet, but where would you begin to tell parents or tell a teenager, hey, look, go here, because they're pulling books off the shelf. So you're gonna have means of accessing this information, because everybody's not coming through Professor Teray class. Everybody's not coming through Professor. It's not going to happen. So if you had to say, okay, listen, this is what you need to do to access information, what would you do? What would you say? What would you guide them?
Y'all can't see it, but I'm looking at you. I'm cutting my eyes at her. She's trying to be funny right now.
I had to give it back.
No, I was looking at her. I was cutting my eyes at her. So what she's trying to be funny. She's like saying, Jamal, give us the book list that you give out to people.
Right. That's what I was looking at.
See, that's what she's trying to do. She's trying to be funny. That's why I'm looking at her. I start to pull my phone out and say, I'm on the show. I start pulling my phone out. I started telling everybody, say, see, now she getting on my nerves right now. She's trying to be all slick. She like saying, Jamal, give us that book list. Send us that book list so that way for parents and everybody. But see, that's what she's trying to do right now. But I ain't had to do that with my phone.
Why?
You ain't do that. Because that's the first thing I was like, I'm going to give a book list, but are they going to go after that book list?
Give the book list.
So I will send y'all a book list that got right book, and people ask me, say, where should I start? I say, whatever you like. So they go from black women, the children, to spirituality, to history, local, national. So and just even one of those helps that foundation. And what some people it does it now, they get one.
That takes them one.
And so yes, ma'am. So I'll make sure that was.
They get a hunger for
She's trying to get me back. She's trying to get me back for being a Trumpite.
How robust is the library system here? I walked in literally a couple of days ago. Walked into two of our local libraries. It didn't look like it was robust enough to even carry those things outside of, everybody can't afford to go put their hands on those books.
I would say prior to COVID, and that's something else that's not coming into play too. Prior to COVID, and especially like at the Bull Street Library, that was a part of the thing where our children were going to, folks were going.
Yeah,
And then later on, you started having that gentrification issue coming about. But our folks were still going there, and then going to the other libraries coming to the south side. But that's not part of the issue too. Of what people just sort of share with me. They said, Jamal, you gotta understand that now with regards to our kids, our children, or children in general,
Right.
that they have not had interaction which is development like others have had since COVID. You know,
Yes.
they have not had this like the interaction y'all right here. That now they've been isolated, so that means that some growth has been stopped.
Yeah.
And it's not just say with regard to African American children, it's Caucasians, Latinos, and Asians, everybody. And I'm like, yo, I had thought about that. So some developmental things is not lacking. So it now becomes even more intense for us to now try to be out, trying to do something, because again, some stuff has been stunted.
Yeah.
Because COVID, they've not been in the classroom, they've not been around teachers, they have not had that. So now you start talking to someone, they're like, what? What you talking about? Yeah.
So what do you think, like, as far as in school, what age? I know it begins at home, but in school as well, we need to start teaching our kids in school. So, like you said, the critical race theory started from law school, right? So, and that's a bit elevated for our young ones.
Way elevated.
For them to understand.
Well,
So,
Only for some kids.
Let's start telling the truth from where school started.
Doctorals.
I've watched them get pissed off with kids like my son when they start sending them home with, "Ooh, Thanksgiving," and I sent him back with, "This was a slaughter of the Native Americans." And if he says that in front of the classroom, everybody's in tears, and now they want to have a conference with me and tell me what a bad parent I am, and then it turns around on them when you now have to cheapen yourself and tell these people what your credentials are. You know, why do I have to do that? Why don't you just teach the truth? You know,
because you know what?
Protection. That's what I was going
So
to
I would say they understand.
Because you know what? That's the same thing happened with my son, my youngest son, when he was going to a private school here. And it was Black History Month. And they want to teach the same old thing about, MLK. And I told him, I said, you need to ask your teacher, when are they going to start teaching you about other things in history, what happened in Black history?
Right.
And I brought up the stuff about the Devil's Punch Bowl and all of that kind of stuff. I said, when are they going to start to? And he came back and he told me, he said his teacher was like, well, why is your mother telling you to tell us about this?
Right.
Because you need to know.
Absolutely.
So you need to know. And that teacher did not want, when I would go up there, that teacher did not want he did not want to talk to me. I'm like, but you're supposed to be the history teacher. Teach the history.
Now you're saying.
But see, it's not, let me go back. Once again, you got to understand, it is not that they don't want to.
No, some of them don't want to.
But they also have guidelines, and
I get that.
It's certain things they cannot.
That's the don't want to part. The guidelines is to stop them and keep them hiding.
Because what happens is what you exactly say. They go home and they ex-parent. So when they go home and ex-parent, now you have this. I have to explain. Rather than do that, we give you a guideline. You want your job, you teach the curriculum.
And with that too is that when it's just history. Some of it, I tell people you're intelligent enough to know how to go and convey it.
Right.
But when you're stupid, then that's what comes into play. But you're intelligent enough to know it, and then how to handle it. And when you ask about what age, you start out from the very beginning. As soon as they come out, you begin to let them understand who you are. Because it's part of their self-esteem. I tell people this, when you have an understanding of your history, your self-esteem is like that. And that's why I used to tell people, I said, it used to be history, your self-esteem is like that. But then I had to realize, I said I had to add on to it, when you have a proper understanding of your culture, your self-esteem is like that. Because with some people, they don't have the proper understanding of their culture or their history. So then, that's why I said they're out there. And I've shared this with people too. I ask people, I say, like, again, tied to the tools. When I go into, I ask people time, I say, what are you seeking to know? What are you interested in? And I had this one guy, He's from Panama, a professor, an expert on culture and stuff like that. And he said, you can talk about this, you can talk about that, you can talk about this, you can talk about that. So finally, I said, listen here, I got third graders who know more about history and culture than experts on history and culture. Now, when I said this, I can see you out there looking like, what? Like, who? But within 30 minutes of me talking and sharing something, he said, Jamal, if you tell kids information like this, they do know more than us. So that would not let him understand. And then going right back to when we go like on River Street, people go on River Street and they go up to what they call the Clusker embankments. And when I tell people about this, especially because people not hearing this information, I'm saying, you know more than people live in Savannah know. You know, people like, really, for people in Savannah, I said, no, I said, even people in positions of power don't even understand that. They're not even grasping this right. So now I said, now you see what I see. So when we go down to River Street, when we go down there, the people see the little signs down there, all that. And then I said, those signs and all that right that you see came off one of my tours. And they look at me, I was like, with kids. I said, I brought kids in here for 9 years. The kids started saying, why are cars parking inside here? See, I was giving them history, so the kids now looking at, why are cars parking inside here if this is historical right here? They put it together. So what they did, I said, guess what? I said, so you got two 14-year-olds, you got 3 14-year-olds and 2 12-year-olds who go before city council in Savannah. I said, they make all that happen right there. People look like, what? There's some start cracking. I said, that's what happens. You give them history, they will soar. When you give them mythology, they torn up and tattered. I said, so that's why you keep giving it to them. And I said, they'll take it. I said, but now guess what? Their parents and grandparents heard the same information. Never thought anything about it. I said, but they got unfiltered minds. So when they heard that the unfiltered minds got the information, they were like, we got to do this right here. Or when they hear something like, okay, well, this is what they did to us after, like First African and First Bryan Baptist Church saying that my father Brian is on the river and they having church service and they being beaten. And the kid's going to say, all they do was praying. They not putting it together. So now they not understanding. They grasping it. So that's what people begin to fear that now these young people now going to be the power. And they're going to change this world. Now I tell my people, I said, guess what? You ain't no leaders up tomorrow. You leaders up today. We need you right now. And that's what we got to constantly hit and put it out there and see. So some other people who don't mean no good to us, they want to make sure that their children still keep that system of oppression in place.
And that's where I was going
but
with that
the good people who hear something, they understand that my child got to be a part of this process to help us. But then sometimes what happens, some of us like this.
Quiet.
That's what I'm talking about, that political breakdown.
Why when ain't doing nothing?
So waiting on somebody else to do something.
And then you have that group, you have them liberals who come in, they're going to be the superhero right now.
We all remember that Woodstock thing. That was a political breakdown moment. Those
you said Woodstock?
Yeah, those kids got an awakening. What I'm going with is the awakening part. Like you say, you start awakening them young. That's what they want to stop. That political breakdown from stopping bottom up. It's a grassroots movement. It's the most dangerous there is.
And just say, because we in Chatham County, right in Savannah right now. I hit people with this. In Yamacraw, before, but we see Yamacraw today, that's not the original Yamacraw. The original Yamacraw went from the Savannah River, from River Street to the Visitor Center, from MLK to the Viaduct. So it was a huge black community over there. But in the 1800s, you had the Irish in Yamacraw with the Africans, the French, the Germans, the Scots, the immigrants. They were living in Yamacraw with black folks. So even though it's still predominantly black, but they're living over there. But what happened in Savannah, going to what Dee alluded to, because this has been the battle we always been dealing with. The power to be in Savannah, the one who got the money in Savannah, they was like, you can't have them around them. Because they realized that them have-nots, that French, the Irish, the Germans, the Scots, going to be them Africans over there. They all going to realize who's supposed to not to have. And they come together. So what happened, that group had to go and say, that power had to go and say, y'all not like them.
Right.
Get out of here.
And see, that's what they
do. Even though you ain't got no money, you still one of us. So and that is the issue that we deal with today. That's why when we talk about these theories and all that stuff, it's again, They don't want to see the have-nots and the powerless come together because they now have the power.
And that's what
Because they can overtake them.
Right.
All whites weren't the same at one point.
Mm-hmm.
They all banded together later on.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
all whites
we
were not
talked about
considered
that
the
on the
same
last
power
show. We
structure.
talked about
Right.
that. Yeah.
Even today, you in the Appalachians. You in the Appalachians, you being put in jail. You getting food stamps,
Right.
you getting welfare, all this stuff right here. You right here, you don't want Obamacare, but you want affordable health care.
And it's the same damn thing.
So,
The same thing.
But you listen to these other people tell you, I don't want no Obamacare. I don't want no Obamacare. I don't want it, but I need my affordable health care. Sign it right now. And so, and then they're laughing at them.
Right.
They're laughing at them because they're like saying, yeah, because, we can get a second amount of people who just join us just because they got the privilege and they just want to be with us. They listen to us. When really they're closer to them. Then that's why I said,
you have more in common than you do different.
That's right.
But you don't look at that because you're looking at the skin color.
That's right. That's why we got to constantly hit them. Like, listen here, fool. You better listen to what we're telling you.
Exactly.
You're going to be out there dying. And then some of them not get it too late.
Yeah.
But there are some others who have gotten it and they have joined with black folks. And so that's what I'm saying. So,
that's the biggest fear of the powers that be, that we will come together at some point and then basically start a revolution.
Well, and it's not just us. Some of our white counterparts are going to come over too.
That's what I'm saying.
Oh, that's yeah. Because I was working on the Obama campaign, doing that ground campaign we were doing. We got over to West Virginia.
Mm-hmm.
You saw rebel flags, and you saw, no joke, rednecks for Obama. And even my white kids that were there on that ground move was like, I'm afraid to go to that door. I'm like, let's go find out. They were the most welcoming people you ever met. And you wouldn't even think that they were going in that direction. They're like, yeah, we were for him. And it wasn't the ones that were saying, we're voting for his white side.
Wow.
So that's that awakening, that you were talking about. You get that? It's dangerous.
Wow. Well, you know what, y'all? We have covered a lot. And this show has been a very, very informative show.
Because of this man right here. And that man right here.
I got an opinion.
Okay.
And that woman right there, and this woman with her question was very on point.
Anywho, hush.
I love it.
Troy. We good.
That's the reservation.
All right. Okay.
Except for me.
Anyway, we want to thank Dr. Jamal Toure for joining us this evening for this show.
Awesome.
This was so informative. I want to thank you so much. I really appreciate you coming out and joining us this weekend. Well, not this weekend, but tonight, anyway. But you gotta come back again. You gotta come back again because this was fun. I don't know about y'all, but I really enjoyed this.
Informative.
Yeah.
Right. Very much so.
So I hope that you were able to take a lot away from this show and then take it upon yourself to do your own research. Find your own history. Write your own story. Tell your kids their story so they'll know. And then when they grow up, they can tell their kids. And our history, the real history, can continue. Thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate it. What?
I just wanted to say something.
Go ahead.
Trump in 2024.
You know what? Shut up! You know what? I'm going to say something.
He's not coming back.
I knew he was coming back with it.
We'll
He was coming with it. Trump, come back, Trump.
and there we will almost.
You don't mean it?
Kanye shows up.
We were this close.
You don't mean it.
But he said he just was
Right out of two.
Y'all, we were this close. We were this close.
We went out the building together.
Selected our queen.
Anywho, thanks again, Jamal. And this, Trump 2024 be Trump in jail. But anywho, thank you so much. We appreciate you checking us out. And remember, everyone is entitled to their own opinion. Never be afraid to express yours. I am your girl, Lynn Roberts.
I'm that girl, DC.
And I'm your boy, T. Roy.
Big C.
Big Cheese. We'll see you next time. Smooches.
Trump.
Stop. Y'all two gonna stop.